Hi, this is Pramod Jaiswal from English Chronicles. Today I am going to take up another poem, a very important and very lengthy one from the modernist poet T.S.Eliot, The Wasteland. It is very important for your long answer question. It is also about 400, more than 400 lines poem. So I am going to discuss in detail. There are 5 sections which has been dealt with in the poem Wasteland, and it's very important for you to take care the wasteland. So the wasteland, T.S.Eliot has talked about the theme of the wasteland, that is, he has discussed about the brokenness and isolation of modern life. The wasteland can be thought of as a poem about the alienation and the brokenness of modern life. Written shortly after World War I, the poet reflects the general trauma caused by the war, both on the battlefield and the home front. The poem portrays or represents modern society itself, which Eliot depicts as shallow and isolating, lacking both the spiritual guidance and the cultural abundance of the past. Though the people of the wasteland are simply going about their ordinary lives, their inability to connect or communicate is indicative of the broken society in which they all live. So the theme and art of the poem, T.S.Eliot projects several levels of modern experience in the wasteland. These are related to various symbolic wastelands in modern times, such as the wasteland of religion, where there is no water. Secondly, the wasteland of spirit, where all moral springs have dried up. Thirdly, the wasteland of reproductive instinct. Sex has become a means of physical satisfaction rather than a source of regeneration. The poem is concerned with the theme of barrenness in the mythical wasteland of 20th century. The land has lost its fertility and nothing useful can grow in it. The animals and crops have forgotten the function of reproduction to rejuvenate the land. The theme of the poem, death by water. According to Brooke, he deals with the contrasting aspects of life and death. He says there are 2 kinds of life and death: death in life and life in death. For example, in the poem, a lengthy poem in Ancient Mariner, this has been discussed in detail. Life which is devoid of meaning is a kind of death, meaningless, while death in a sacrifice is renewal of life. Eliot had discussed this theme in all 5 sections of the wasteland. First is the burial of the dead. Second is the game of chess. Third, the fire sermon, which is very important, as Gautam Buddha and St. Augustine has sermonized or discussed the reality, the truth of life. Fourth is the death by water. And ultimately the fifth one, what the thunder said. Moreover, I would like to inform you, जो एक्सट्रैक्ट वाले क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, उस 4 लाइन के एक्सट्रैक्ट में अगर एक वर्ड से भी आपको समझ में आता है, अगर इसका एक्सप्लेनेशन आप ध्यान से सुनते हैं और थोड़ा दिमाग में रखते हैं, तो एक वर्ड से यू गेट एन आइडिया कि ये एक्सट्रैक्ट द वेस्टलैंड से है। और चूँकि दिमाग में स्टोरी आपके है, यू कैन राइट एन एक्सप्लेनेशन। सो ज़्यादा 5 मार्क्स क्वेश्चन में वो एक्सट्रैक्ट्स आएंगे, और जो लेंथी पोएम का डिस्क्रिप्शन है वो 2-3 पेज में विद इन 600 to 800 वर्ड्स आप आराम से लिख सकते हैं, ईजिली स्कोरेबल। सो उस चीज़ को ध्यान दीजिएगा जब व्हेन आई एम एक्सप्लेनिंग, एंड आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग ऑल्सो द लाइन्स ऑफ द पोएम एंड वेयर दिस वर्ड इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट, दैट इज़ द की वर्ड। So take care, we shall proceed. Now the first one, the burial of the dead. Let's take up. The poet has discussed the burial of the dead in the Church of England. Spring is a season of joy and merriment. Eliot says, April is cruel. It is the time of Good Friday, when Christ was crucified. कुछ लोग कहते हैं ये फेस्टिवल ऑफ एन्जॉयमेंट है, कुछ लोग कहते हैं सैडनेस है, लेकिन जो मर्डर इन द कैथीड्रल है उसमें थॉमस बेकेट ने एक्सप्लेनेशन दिया है कि दिस इज सेलिब्रेटेड बोथ फॉर द डेथ एंड रिजरेक्शन ऑफ क्राइस्ट। सो बोथ इट इज़ अ फेस्टिवल ऑफ जॉय एंड mourning. So let's not discuss that one. We shall continue with this one. So Eliot says, April is cruel. It is the time of Good Friday, when Christ was crucified. April rain revives memory in human beings and plants. So Eliot has discussed for life and death के बारे में, the image of little life. एग्जाम्पल देते हैं प्लांट्स का, इन ड्राई फ्रूट्स इज़ द आइडिया ऑफ डेथ इन लाइफ इन द वेस्टलैंड। अनदर एग्जाम्पल ही गिव्स, अकॉर्डिंग टू ग्रीक माइथोलॉजी, हायासिंथ, ये ग्रीक कैरेक्टर हैं, एंड ही डाइड इन एन एक्सीडेंट, एंड इट्स वेरी astonishing fact that flower grew out of his blood. So flowers evoke feelings of sadness because of death, sympathy and desire. So this is an example. अब hyacinth का line 35 में है, you gave me hyacinth first a year ago. अब अगर ये word hyacinth आप याद रखते हैं फर्स्ट, हाँ, तो आपको समझ में आ जाएगा कि वेस्टलैंड से है। उसके बाद एक और वर्ड है रूट्स, जो कि स्टोनी रबिश में, उसमें भी ये होता है, वो नेक्स्ट पैरा में आई विल बी एक्सप्लेनिंग। सो लेट्स सी, पैक ऑफ कार्ड्स में, जो कि प्रैक्टिस ऑफ फॉर्चून है थ्रू टैरेट पैक ऑफ कार्ड्स। This was dealt in 14th century somewhere in Italy, और मैडम सोसॉस्ट्रिस हैं, जिनका नाम पोएम में भी पेज लाइन नंबर 43 में आया है, और हायासिंथ का भी नाम आया है लाइन नंबर 35-36 में। तो बोथ द क्वेश्चंस कैन बी डिस्कस्ड। और पैक ऑफ कार्ड्स अगर समझते हैं तो टैरेट पैक ऑफ कार्ड्स है। तो दे कुड नॉट फाइंड द हैंग्ड मैन इन द पैक ऑफ कार्ड्स, पैक ऑफ कार्ड्स में मिल नहीं रहा है, तो परेशान है। एलियट रेफर्स टू द हुडेड फिगर ऑफ क्राइस्ट, हुड माने कैप लगा हुआ, and she cannot understand what she sees. The hanged man could be an illusion on the cross. तो कहते हैं ये illusion हो सकता है, वहम. Next section we are going to discuss the game of chess. कहते हैं कि game of chess one cannot play alone, और the plan जो pawn होता है, pawn, वो alone cannot play the game of chess. तो similarly अकेले लड़ना it's not easy. तो इसमें Eliot has shown a description of a woman at the dressing table that reminds him of Belinda. So इसका भी जिक्र है, and her वो डिस्कशन है रेप ऑफ द लॉक में, a mock heroic poem by Alexander Pope. इसका डिस्कशन है. और the poet has also referred to a scene from Milton's Paradise Lost. बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट पोएम है पैराडाइज लॉस्ट, इसमें भी इसका डिस्कशन है. वो डिस्कस किए हैं द फॉलन एंजल reaches the ground of Eden where Adam and Eve lived in the life together in peace. So बहुत अच्छी बात है, इसका डिस्कशन अच्छे से है. और इसमें एक और स्टोरी का जिक्र है. एक the poet has discussed about a woman named Lil who is having a boyfriend and having sex with him. The man tells her to change her denture if she wants to look appealing, but she says she has already undergone abortion 4 or 5 times and this was another time. She is asking for money to abort. She cannot afford the denture. Now here the poet highlights the problem of sexual morality, which is not concerned with the distinction of class and society. Either it belong to an upper class or a lower class. If there is involvement of sex, there is no demarcation, there is no differentiation. Next important, the third section, the fire section, the fire sermon. The title of the third part of the Wasteland is taken from the fire sermon, preached by Gautam Buddha in around 563 BC to 483 BC. And why it was done? To convince his followers of the negative and evil influence of the fires of lust. Lust matlab iksha, desire, passion, infatuation, that is outwardly love. Physical beauty से जो आपका attraction होता है, that is called infatuation, and hatred on human mind. तो ये this section is very important, the fire sermon. We shall be discussing something more about this. A contrasting picture of the river Thames. River Thames is very beautiful, but here the poet has highlighted the contrast. On one side, river Thames, a very beautiful river, and on the contrary, there is a discussion of slimy rat dragging itself from the swampy areas. That's ugly picture with the beauty of the river that has been highlighted. The poet talks about the unreal city. It could be any city in Europe, America, or Asia. It is also called a ghost city. Hence, it is unreal, where the passing crowd and life are hidden under the fog of a winter noon. In this section, Fire Sermon, poet has discussed about a person Tarsias. This is also discussed in the poem. I can give you the You see, the hanged man has been discussed in line 55. Unreal city has been discussed in line 60 of the poem. Stetson is also discussed in 69, line 69. So you see, by one word you can guess from where it has been taken. In the game of chess, ये Lil's husband, Lil जो woman के बारे में बताएं, having sex with, उसका लाइन 139 में है. टीथ डेंचर के बारे में बताएं, वो लाइन 145 में है. एंड यू सी, एबॉर्शन के बारे में बताया है, डाइड ऑफ यंग जॉर्ज. सो अफायर सर्मन में भी बहुत सारे हैं. स्वीट थेम्स रिवर का है जिक्र, रन सॉफ्टली, अ रैट पेज 187 में है. अ रैट crept softly through the vegetation, dragging its slimy belly on the bank. So by this word, simply one word, you can get hold of the name of the poem and its explanation. So as we move on, another time unreal city has been discussed in line 208. Tertias, this has been discussed in line 218. Old man with wrinkled female breasts can see at the violet hour, the evening hour, that strives homeward and brings the sailor home from sea. So you see, by one word you can get the idea, or explanation उसी based पर you can do. Now next, continuation of the sermon. The poet refers to the song of the three Thames daughters. इनका भी little explanation है, तो ध्यान में रखिएगा. The first one lying flat in the boat, giving convenience to him, the person. The second daughter of Thames, Thames' daughter, is having sexual excitement in the pool area of Moorgate, in which her heart is under her feet and the feet is at the Moorgate. Third Thames daughter thinks about her broken fingernails. तो broken fingernails हो गया, तो it depicts the lower grade of people, gradation of the society. So once again, regarding sermon section, here Eliot has discussed about Buddha and St. Augustine, the two representatives of East and West, are in the opinion that the lustful physical passion in love is the part of the wasteland. Both teachers referred to sensible temptation as a burning fire. So this is very important. And Buddha advocates the rejection of pleasures, leading to freedom from passion and rebirth. That is the main point, the moral theme. St. Augustine also, he trusts in the grace of God for the ultimate salvation of men in Christian terms. Even in Hindu mythology, greatest salvation, ब्रह्मत्व जिसको कहते हैं, उसका जिक्र है. Now we move on to next section, death by water. This is a revised version of the last 7 lines of a French poem, Dans le Restaurant. There is an undersea current which disturbs the bones of Phoebus. How a person becomes aged and becomes unappealing and hideous and ugly. An undersea current disturbs the bones of Phoebus. His bones rise and fall, suggesting the different stages of youth while he was living. Now we come to the last section, what the thunder said. It is the time of the crucifixion of the Christ, when a terrible earthquake occurs, and his death meant a kind of universal death for all. Here the poet Eliot has pointed out, patience signifies suffering of the living, humanity. After Christ was no more, his death. There is a reference to an arid and waterless rocky region. This once again rocky region का बात हुआ है. The three daughters का भी बात हुआ है line 265 में. और डेथ बाय वाटर में फ्लीबस का लाइन 314-15 में फ्लीबस का है, डेथ बाय वाटर का फर्स्ट लाइन है. फ्लीबस द फिनिशियन has forgotten the cry of gulls and the deep sea swell and the profit and loss. Current under sea picked his bones in whispers. As he rose and fell, he passed the stages of his age and youth, entering the whirlpool. So you see, it's very easy. By one word, Phlebas, you can understand from where the poem has been taken. So once again, there is a reference to an arid and waterless rocky region, a virtual wasteland or desert where there is no hope of regeneration and life. There is no water in this land, only rocks and winding sandy road. The heat of the sun, the scorching heat, dries their sweat. The rock does not spill water. The rock does not spill water, and there is no place to take rest. Now this once again refers to Christ, the two followers of Christian on the road. It's an allusion, reference. They felt a shadowy presence of a third person. उस समय कहा जाता है कि ऐसा विजुअल होता है जैसे थर्ड पर्सन आ गए हैं. The cloaked figure is of Christ risen from the grave. Resurrection. A cock stands on the roof. The cloaked figure is of Christ risen from the grave. The cock stands on the roof of the chapel. The cock is connected with the betrayal of Christ. It is a bird of a good omen. Now we are coming to the end of the session. The poet here discusses about the threefold offspring of Brahma: men, demons, and gods. He asks them the meaning of da, from all these three. So in response, let's see what he says. You see, this is the thunder of da. Men said it is data, which means to give. Demons said it is dayadvam, which means compassion. And God said it is damyata, which means to control oneself. So these were the answers given to Brahma. And you see, I would like to point out about the cock in line number 391, and in line number 400 this D.A. Datta, line 410 Dayadvan, line 418 Damyata, all are given. You simply have to keep in your mind. And coming to the last end of, we are coming to the end of the this poem, where our scriptures say, the Upanishad tells to practice 3 commands, for there are no gods or demons other than men. Buddha says, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So here we have come to the end of the poem, but I would suggest to learn these. You don't have to even to learn, rather in long answer, poet about poet, their life and their works. Those are tougher ones, and you have to learn them. But here, lengthy poems, you just remember this as a story. It will become very easy for you. So if you like this video, so like and share and subscribe to my channel. And once again, I would thank you for watching my video. Thanks. Have a nice day.